Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our presentation on data autonomy in a global pharma CDP platform, or what is Bayer Pharma doing with Snowflake. So just a really quick disclaimer here. When we talk about CDP, we're looking at it holistically and referring to it as our commercial data platform and not the sort of common acronym in the MarTech space of a customer data platform. So while customer data is certainly a critical part of what we integrate on top of Snowflake, we include all of our commercial pharma data sources across all of our relevant domain areas: customer, account, patient, and product. So to all the MarTech companies that have been flooding my LinkedIn mailbox for the past couple of weeks, thank you. So before we jump into it, a quick sort of round of intros for myself and my colleagues here. Both of my colleagues here have joined us from our global team, our European offices in Spain and Germany, respectively. My name is Jason Sibniewski. I'm coming to you from the exotic location of Whippany, New Jersey. My role is as a director of data engineering, and I'm also the lead for our data platform and operations for our US and Americas regions within commercial pharma. I am joined by Alina, who is our product manager within global IT for the CDP. Her team is really the ones that are responsible for the build, test, and deployment activities associated with our Snowflake architecture. Alina and her team, they're the ones that are really the driving force behind all that we do within Snowflake today. And joining us from that team is Frederick, one of our lead Snowflake architects, representing our partners at Enrich Consulting, who are responsible for the technical implementation of the autonomy zone concept that we're going to discuss today. And if you can't tell who's who by the headshots, the consultant is always the one with the coolest headshot, right? So I'm going to turn it over to Alina now, who's going to get us started with an overview of the CDP architecture and some key facts and metrics around its current utilization across our global markets. Then Frederick will get into a little more technical detail on our autonomy zone implementation and self-service. And then I'll wrap it up with some more discussion around our business outcomes. So over to you, Alina.
Thank you. Yeah, I would like to start by thanking you through the scene and give you a background into the journey that we did in commercial data platform and adopting Snowflake as a powerful tool for analytics for 120 markets in marketing and sales area. It started at the end of 2020 with data migration of small markets. By mid of 2022, it continued with lift and shift of the bigger markets and the platform being fully operational by mid of 2022. 120 markets were onboarded in the setup of 6 accounts, split it in 3 regions with production and non-production environment. This enables several benefits for analytics, and I would like to take you through some key advantages that we see using Snowflake. Having a global architecture with reusable patterns for data ingestion and ETL jobs and consistent data model. Better collaboration in a setup of multi-vendor development by having the feature of zero-copy cloning that provides instant and efficient copies that don't take additional storage, allowing different development teams to work with the data in a cost-efficient manner for better development, testing, and analytics. Snowflake provides robust security features to protect the data privacy, like PII masking, fine-grained access control. We have a complex setup of 800 plus roles by different attributes at row and column level. It also offers audit capabilities to ensure compliance with regulations. The integration with data catalog facilitated data curation by data stewards and data owners community and facilitated access to reusable and easy-to-find datasets to enable discovery and collaboration. Data lineage in data catalog is providing a holistic view on how data is sourced, transformed, consumed across organization, identifying downstream dependency and potential effects on other data products and analytical processes. This information is needed for regulatory compliance and audited purposes. Another key advantage is scalability with high performance, with parallel processing and query optimization. This is helpful when building data products that need to accommodate to increasing data volumes and deliver a seamless user experience without worrying about infrastructure limitation or manual scaling. And here we benefited a lot from the experience from Initian and from Frederick's team by having different initiatives for long-running jobs. And we saw the benefit of having 50% reduction in the job execution after doing more query optimization. Increased collaboration with data sharing. Snowflake data sharing feature enables to securely share specific subsets of data products with internal and external teams to allow them to perform analytics on the shared data without copying it or moving it. In commercial data platform, we have 200 inbound and outbound data shares, including prod and non-prod count in all 3 regions. Improving data science speed and efficiency with Snowpark for Python that I will detail later on, and accelerating data exploration for self-service that will be explained also by Frederick later on. Snowflake is at the heart of commercial data platform to enable different applications to offer an outstanding customer experience by leveraging data and technology in real time in order to drive growth. For example, precision AI, to identify right channel mix for new campaign and create refined target lists, to optimize execution of strategy, improve planning, to better know when and where to create an impact, treating customers as individual and optimizing communication. Customizing our messages for specific customer groups and segment. Another one is suggestion engine, with a personal assistant to guide the sales force through complex information with customized, effective, and personalized content to reach the right customer at the right time to the right channel with the right content. Understanding what customer wants next and personalized assistant to support reps. Faster cross-functional campaigns to act on customer feedbacks and needs. In terms of Snowflake metrics in commercial data platform area, we have a community of 230 developers in 6 locations: Beijing, India, Spain, Germany, Brazil, and North America within 12,000 users with different profiles, developers, data scientists, business analysts that execute on average 55 million monthly queries, most of them in Europe. 30 data products published in data catalog. 104 warehouse split between ETL jobs, front-end, and technical jobs for optimized resource allocation. This is the key advantage for credit and cost monitoring that facilitated chargeback and provided visibility of the value and cost of each data product and autonomy zone. Snowpark for Python. This is the key advantage since it's facilitating faster iteration in data science. It was easy to onboard the data science community on Snowpark since they code the same way and have direct access to the data without extracting to other tools. Achieving faster and cheaper pipelines with Snowpark, optimized virtual warehouses, and the possibility to execute machine learning models directly in Snowflake. An early adopter use case is women healthcare franchise that is using different data sources to conduct market basket analysis to aid the definition of targeting strategy in order to launch digital campaign. And now I'll leave it up to Frederick to entertain you with autonomy science.
Yeah, thank you, Alina. So I think she said already that the global CDP that we now have solved many of the previously existing issues and brought many advantages to the users. They have access now to global data instead of that's fast in a highly scalable way with all, you've all heard that from Snowflake, how it works. Instead of the previously existing legacy data warehouses fed with only local data that were available before to them. Same ETL patterns are now used globally. There's one data model for everything globally. High data quality is ensured by a global team that manages the platform. And as you can imagine, all of this is also just economically a lot more efficient than the previously existing 120 local legacy data warehouses spread across the world that had to be maintained and developed over the time. If we would locate that global CDP in the classic BI landscape with the 2 most common designs, being fully centralized platform or centrally managed platform, and on the other side being a full self-service approach, I think it's pretty clear that CDP is rather an example for the first one, right? However, and that's what I want to focus on now, is that we have been opening things up a little bit lately by adding more self-service code capabilities. We call them autonomy zones to that otherwise very centrally managed data platform. And there's reasons for that. So even though that platform was very well adapted by the end users, we did start to see some of the known downsides of that full centralized approach. So we did see that the platform started to suffer from increasing implementation circles, at least longer than the main users of the platform, which are at Bayer still the 120 local markets that Bayer operates in, expected it to be. And we saw that priorities differed among those different markets, right, when it comes to new implementations. And we also saw that priorities differed between the user groups in general and the global team that manages the platform. And then also ensuring all that data governance, high data quality, always requires a lot of formalities, which also, you can imagine, it usually doesn't speed up things. So we try to add possibilities to the users, to the local markets to work in a little more agile way if they need to, if they want to, but without losing all the advantages that our central global data platform has brought and that we talked about before. So without opening up the door for all the negative aspects that a full self-service approach would bring with it. So we wanted to avoid redundancies, right? That again, every local market starts building the same, essentially, but just in a different way. We wanted to avoid that we have, again, applications locally that start small, but then grow and grow and grow over time and then become unmanageable at some point. So in essence, we aim to combine the best of those two worlds without taking the disadvantages for each of them. And the outcome of that is now that hybrid approach that we have at Bayer, where additionally to the global CDP that still exists on the left side, where each business user gets access to a respective country database or autonomy zone for the market that the user operates in, where unlike in CDP, where obviously access rights, data governance, quality control, all that is handled by the global CDP team, is handled by the local teams themselves in their autonomy zones / country database, how we also call it. They do need to follow some certain standards there. We equip them, for example, with a predefined set of roles. They get warehouses to use, but within a certain framework that they get from us, they are allowed to act freely. Which also means that while in the global CDP, there's for each business user read access only, of course, the countries can, within that framework that would provide them with, of course, create tables, write data into them, also themselves. Why did we go for this architecture? So, of course, before deciding for that, we talked to the business users and to the local markets for asking for their needs and discussed things. And the outcome of those discussions were actually that for most projects that they do, 95% of the data that they need is already available globally in the global CDP. So what we try to enable them with is to have a possibility to add that 5% of data that's missing for a project, which is often just a local file, local CSV that's lying around somewhere, or some data source that is not yet ingested into global CDP because there's usually no need to do it. And now they can do that themselves in the autonomy zones. There's a self-service portal where they can upload that if in case of a local CSV file uploaded there, and then join that data together, that local data together, which then resides in the autonomy zones with the rest of the data that is available globally, and then perform their analysis on top of that. How that would look like then we can see here, it's actually, it's a slightly more technical slide, but basically it's still showing the same content as before. So we still have that global centrally managed CDP on the left side, where business users have access to a raw layer with raw data, more suitable for data science use cases usually, and also access to an analytics layer where data is already cleaned and pre-aggregated, more suitable for the classic BI reporting use case. And now if the user wants to enrich that with some local files, for example, or some other external data source, they can do that in their autonomy layer, upload a file there to a table, create a view on top that then joins that local data that was uploaded with the data that's already available in the CDP layers, and then analyze that, right? It is important that in the autonomy layer, we do encourage the usage of views only, of course, except for that data that is newly ingested, which then resides in a table, obviously. But on top of that, we encourage the usage of views only because that will allow us that all the security standards that we have applied globally in the global platform are still applied, right? Row level security, column level security, all the RBAC that we're not going to talk about, but that exists in the global CDP will be respected. Yeah, and also, I said it before, we want to avoid that in those autonomy zones, proper applications are being built, right? That require a full ETL process that again then has to be managed and maintained and grows over time and becomes bigger. It's really supposed to be only kind of a semantic layer for that missing 5%, the cherry on the pie, or the missing link for the users. What's also happening now quite often is that users connect to their autonomy zone with Snowpark, take the raw data from global CDP, enrich it with something that they need, do the data engineering, training their models, store them in the autonomy zones, and make usage of everything that Snowpark provides there. We also are currently discussing a procedure to move something that has been built locally in an autonomy zone back to global, if we think it makes sense, if we think that other markets can benefit from that as well. I think that's an important addition to that architecture, actually, to have a procedure for that. But that's something that we're still discussing, and it's not fully implemented yet. Important to say also, I mean, we here at the Snowflake Summit, is that all the architecture that we see here on the slide is only really possible because of the infrastructure and the abilities that Snowflake provides us with, right? I mean, just talk about very basic, but the separation of storage and compute, which allows us to assign the autonomy zones with different warehouses, which allows us cost tracking for what they do there. And it allows us to upscale in the case that a local market requires more compute and brings a certain budget, right? Then things we take for granted in Snowflake, like cross-database joins, which are crucial here, right? To join the local data in the autonomy zones with the global data, right? We take it for granted in Snowflake, but as you know, could have been a pain in legacy systems back in the days. And then I mentioned it already, Snowpark, just opening up a lot of new options for developers to make use of the raw data from global CDP. Yeah, that's how we currently at Bayer try to combine that global centrally managed data platform with self-service elements that we applied in the so-called autonomy zones. As I said, not at the end of the road. We are still discussing things, and we are happy to discuss also. Like if you have input, I guess, data autonomy, data mesh on the top buzzword lists of the summit right after AI and Snowpark. So yeah, happy to discuss things, me from Munitions with colleagues here, and also I think Alina and Jason are happy to get in touch with you. But for now, I head over to Jason, who will talk a little bit about the actual business value that the CDP provides.
Thank you, Frederick. Yeah, so, from my perspective, the platform's only as good as the data products that it supports, right? And, to sort of reiterate one of the themes from the product keynotes earlier this week, right? It's about everything that we've implemented here from the architecture side is starting to move the work to where the data resides and prevent sort of all this shuffling or ingress and egress of data and creating ungoverned data products. So we're going to talk about that a little bit right now. So in my sort of 3 years here with Bayer, anytime we talk about data management strategy, we have this tendency to use these sort of house-shaped diagrams to discuss things. I don't know, I guess a lot of my colleagues do home construction on the side. But if we start with the foundational layer that Alina and Frederick just described with what we've built on top of Snowflake, and we sort of start to build the framing or the support pillars, and that's these sort of what we call here sort of knowledge models, but really integrated set of data products across key domain area, key functional areas in this sort of 360 views. And this is sort of where we bring the house to life, right? We focus on integrating all of these sort of data sources across the different domains into a common data model and a set of what we call analytics-ready data products to build these 360-degree views of our business landscape, right? So if I look at the HCP or healthcare provider 360, right, this is looking at the HCP grain and integrating all of the different domain areas in terms of digital activities, sales, claims, and other demographic data to get a complete view of our engagement at the doctor level and healthcare provider level. And then we build sort of similar journeys, again, at the account and patient level. And ideally, you can also do this at sort of the product layer, right? Then finally, on top of sort of that framing that we've built here, right, we have that consumption layer, right? This is what keeps the roof over our heads because this is what's generating the business outcomes and doing, the analysis on ROI, right? So we have sort of the persona-based consumption, which is the self-service model that we described here through the autonomy zone concept, where data scientists and analysts can leverage this single source of truth through an analytics workbench or sort of self-service reporting capability that we have available in sort of the suite of tools at our disposal within enterprise IT. And then on top of that, we have the additional layer of sort of the predefined use cases that support field and home office and back office reporting requirements. And all of these are leveraging, again, that single source of truth that we've built within the CDP. So now we'll jump into a little bit of a discussion on some specific use case examples that I was referring to and how we leverage those analytics-ready data products to support those key business outcomes, right? So this is not an all-inclusive list, obviously. Sort of this is part of a journey, an ongoing journey in terms of building out sort of our use case library that we support internally. And especially when we start talking about things like generative AI and LLMs and integrating all of that together with the data products that we've built, it opens up sort of a whole new world of possibilities. But this is all enabled by what we built on top of Snowflake, right? And if we navigate across the left to the right between these sort of hexagon or stepping stone kind of shapes, right, it's sort of that traditional analytics journey from descriptive to prescriptive to predictive, right? And starting with the traditional question in terms of sort of what happened, right? When we have use cases around sales performance, call planning and activity, brand scorecards, and digital engagement, right? And this is all the data that fuels sort of the hub of commercial operations, which is our sales reps in the field. And then we focus them on empowering them with the KPIs and metrics that they need to drive results. So whether that's things like trends in sort of new to brand RX or new patient starts, campaign tracking data to ensure that we're engaging with those HCPs on the right channels at the right time with the right content or messaging. And this data is also valuable across other functional areas such as forecasting, targeting, market access, which all help evaluate our end-to-end ROI. And then we start focusing on some of the more AI, ML sort of base use cases in terms of what will happen or what should we do, right? So we have things like multi-channel optimization, which is focused on determining the best frequency of interactions within channels, and impact attribution, which measures the impact of those specific interactions. And we can also tune that to sort of focus on content engagement as well. But if you look at those sort of two examples, specifically what you really have sort of the component of kind of a larger marketing mix capability that most, folks who work on marketing analytics, where you're sort of looking to find that relationship between your marketing spend within each of those channels and the desired outcome or KPI that you're trying to measure. And then, so finally, sort of don't take it from me or from many of us that have been presenting here, but people that actually interact with our platform on a day-to-day basis and consume those data products that we've built on top of it. We've removed the names here to sort of protect the innocent, but we tried to capture a spectrum of different user personas that are interacting with our platform and the data products on a day-to-day basis, from insight and analytics leads to data stewards, data scientists, and reporting and visualization folks. And these quotes are taken from actual testimonials. We had a larger sort of CDP stakeholder analysis effort that we did across our markets during Q1 of this year. So, it's easy to get sort of lost in the weeds of the technical architecture, but ultimately the success will be driven by the user experience, and that feedback is sort of valuable to us. So if we highlight a couple of them here, We started at the top. So our colleagues in APAC and Japan specifically have really been one of the driving forces behind the self-service architecture that we put together. They were one of sort of the first pilot programs of this, and sort of applying that Japanese spirit of ingenuity and autonomy to accelerate the speed to insights for their specific market needs. Alina mentioned earlier one of our products, Suggestion Engine, which is our next best action model, right? This is what leverages sort of reverse ETL within to integrate sales and activity data within Viva CRM to help sales reps optimize their call planning activities, right? So if we all think about sort of what a sales rep does on a day-to-day basis, right? They're out in their territory, time on territory, and their time in front of specific doctors is very short. So we want to make sure that engagement and the messaging is the right one. And then if I look at sort of one other comment here from our head of US commercial data and visualization, we just completed a sort of massive data product migration effort here in the US focused on transforming the field user experience and leveraging that single source of truth, those pillars that we talked about earlier for over 700 plus reps that are in the field right now, and all of the back office functions that are being supported by them. And appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.